We're jumping into the eighth chapter of Gittin, where we've gone through questions of agency, questions of conditionality, questions of time, all of these related to how how the bill of divorce is presented. And now we're going to get into the question of actually the physical characteristics as to how it's given. And in order to understand this chapter, the eighth chapter, we need to go back and look at the verses. We're in Sefer Devarim, we're in Deuteronomy, in Kitei Say, and we read there that if a person marries someone and divorces her, the text there says, "V'chatav la sefer kritut." He writes her a bill of divorce. We've been talking a lot about how the bill of divorce is written. V'natan biyadah. He has to not only write it, but give it into her hand. So, what does it mean to give it into her hand? What does that mean? And the rabbis traditionally learned that her hand means essentially, let's say, in her rushut, in a space that belongs to her. So we will define via the first couple of Mishnayot in this chapter, well, okay, what sort of space really belongs to her? So let's just jump into the first Mishnah. Remember, the verse says, "V'natan biyada," he gave it into her hand. And the first Mishnah brings a situation where he doesn't give it. He doesn't give it. Hazorek get leishto. Someone throws a get to his wife. He throws the document to his wife. But here's the crucial bit. Vehi betoch beita. She's actually in her house. So this must be, by the way, this is her house. This must be her property that she brought into the marriage. This is not his property. She's in her own domain. She owns this house. Vehi betoch beita. Or betoch chetzara. Or maybe she's in her courtyard. But either way, she's in her property. And the Mishnah rules, Harei zu mugoreshet. She is divorced. If the get is delivered to her address, so to speak, then it seemingly doesn't have to be delivered straight into her hand. Zura, and the Mishnah is going to clarify this distinction very pungently. Zura kola b'toch beito. If he threw it to her in his house, okay, so this is a house. They might both be living in this house, but he brought it into the marriage rather than her. So this might be a shared house, but it's his property. He brought it into the marriage. Zrakola b'toch beito. He threw it to her in his house, or l'toch chatzero, or in his courtyard. Afilu hu ima b'mita. Even if he's in bed with her, or even if the get is in bed with her, the text is not quite clear. Afilu hu ima b'mita. Even though either he or the get is with her in bed, eina mugoreshet. She's not divorced. So the get can be incredibly close to her. But if it's not given effectively into her hand or into her property, it doesn't work. It doesn't work as a get. Okay, let's see. Latocheka, into her bosom. That seems to work. Or latoch kalata, or into her basket. Harezor mugareshet. He gives it into her bosom, into her basket. She is divorced. The kalta might be is a basket where she might keep some things, but it also refers to some kind of head covering. So maybe this refers to her hat, or maybe it refers to her sewing basket. But in any case, it seems to be some part of her belongings which is very close to her, and that seems to work. Seems to work better than just putting it into a bed where she's sleeping in her husband's house. Having said that, she needs to know that it is a get. So not only does it need to be delivered to her hand or her property, but she needs to be aware that this is a get. This is a bill of divorce. Amarla, kinsishta chovze. So let's say he said to her, take in this debt document. So he makes her aware it's a document. He makes her aware it's a financial document, but he doesn't say it's a bill of divorce. Or shematzato me'achorav. Maybe she found it behind him. There's an idea in the Gemara that it's actually pinned on his back. But anyway, she finds it behind him. And our text of the Mishnah then says Kore, he reads it. Actually, the printed text says Korah, she reads it. We're not quite sure whether he reads it or she reads it, but anyway, one of them reads it, and it becomes apparent that this is a get. This is a bill of divorce. V'harei hu gita. Behold, it's her get. A not get, a nor get. It doesn't work. It doesn't actually work as a get. If she picks up this document and reads it, or he reads it, and it becomes apparent from the reading that this is a get, that doesn't seem to work. It doesn't work. Ad sheyomar la harei hu gitech. It doesn't work unless he says to her explicitly, this is your get. He has to make it clear what is she's accepting. Maybe he put it into her hand while she was asleep. Nura kora v'harei hu gita. So it goes into her possession when she's not fully conscious. So in the first example, she was conscious, but she was misled. He said it's a debt document. In the second example, she's not fully conscious. She's asleep. Nora, she wakes up. Korah, she reads. And then she reads it and she finds it's her get. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work as a get unless he says to her, here is your debt. Here is your get. Maybe she's standing in the public domain. So now they're both in public space. And he throws it to her. Now, it seems that if he throws something which lands closer to her, it's in her domain, just as if he'd thrown it into her house. If it is going to land close to his domain, well, that seems more like it's in his house. So let's read the Mishnah. So she's standing in the public domain. He threw it to her. Karov la mogoreshet. If it lands closer to her, she's divorced. Karov lo ena mogoreshet. If it lands closer to him, she's not divorced. Mahza la mahza. If it's halfway. Mogoreshet ve'ena mogoreshet. If it's halfway, we get into a difficult situation. She's divorced and not divorced. Her status at this point is indeterminate. We don't really know whether this bill of divorce is valid.